Hi, I'm Sue Chen. I'm with the Organic Hazelnut Collective. I'm on the advisory committee, and welcome to our webinar. This is the third in our series that we're doing this year. And the first was why go organic? The second was how to go organic. And we thought we would end this with our season, which is harvesting organic. And you can go and watch the other two sessions on our website, Organic Hazelnuts.com. All right, so we are so excited. Oh, yes.
.org.
Oh, .org. Thanks, Ben. Organic Hazelnuts.org. All right, so we're so excited that you are participating on this webinar and that you are part of this mission. We are part of the mighty 1%. Only 1% of hazelnuts are grown in a sustainable organic way, and we hope to grow that, and we know that we will as part of this mission. So before we get started, I thought that I would do a 1-minute pitch. We did this at the summer tour, and it was pretty exciting. So I'm going to try this again. So I'm going to put on my timer here so we can make sure that I keep this right at 1 minute. All right, so here we go. This is here we go. Let's start it. My 1-minute pitch. Time this so that you can see the alarm will go off. Okay. So this is my 1-minute pitch on why organic hazelnuts are America's best nut. And compared to the almonds, the most popular tree nut, this is a knockout. So hazelnuts are one of the healthiest nuts that you can consume. In fact, they have twice the polyphenols of almonds. Hazelnuts are also better for the planet. When it comes to water, a single almond can consume about 1 to 3 gallons of water. Well, hazelnuts, especially established hazelnut trees, are dry farm, meaning that they require no water from irrigation, only the water that comes in as rain. And when it comes to bees, you know that almonds require bees to pollinate, and that stresses millions of bees every single year. Whereas hazelnuts, they are wind pollinized. So those catkins bloom in January when bees actually need a lot of nutrition and support. So bees actually go to the hazelnut trees for a pollen source in January. And then lastly, taste. Hazelnuts are so delicious. And compared to the almonds in chocolate, in a pie, in all kinds of foods, hazelnuts are so delicious. So that's why organic hazelnuts are America's best nut. Okay, that was about 1 minute and 10 seconds. So that's my 1-minute pitch on why hazelnuts are America's best nut. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our topic today, and that's harvesting organic hazelnuts. Okay, so let's start with the planning for it. So your hazelnut plan. And so the question is, let's start with what you do with your harvest. So why don't we start with you, Ben? What do you do with your hazelnut harvest?
So we've actually been able to get ours custom processed at a few different processors over the years. It's a lot of touch and go depending on who's in business for custom processing. This year we are hauling them up to Washington for the first time. But yeah, it kind of different than the model of selling them to the processor. We get ours back so that we can sell them directly to the consumer.
Oh, that's great. How about you, Cassie?
Yeah, I sell to a processor, so I just deliver it to a wash and dry facility here in Oregon, and then the processor comes and picks it up from that facility and then takes the nuts from there.
Okay, and so did you have any challenges with your processor this year?
I didn't have any big challenges with the processor. It was more for me, it was more just the lag time. We had to wait for after harvest. We're used to going straight to the wash and dryer, but because that changed, I had to hold on to my nuts for about 3 weeks, I think, before I could actually get them washed and dried.
Okay. All right. So, but they were okay storing for 3 weeks?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. So 2 different models here. Ben has to find a processor where he has to get his nuts back. And so that's, puts you kind of in a unique position because you have to find a processor to do that. And there's probably not very many that do that or any at all. And then Cassie, you just, sell your nuts to the processor, or and then they give it to the distributor. And you don't get your nuts back.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the next question is preparing for harvest. So what do you do leading up to harvest, and how do you prepare? Ben, why don't you go?
Yeah, so kind of, after pruning season and getting the brush either moved out or flailed up, depending on the diameter of the branch, we will just kind of mow about once a month throughout the summer. So it'll typically be about five total mowings. And with organics, we're cross mowing. So if you imagine you're going down the row, well, next time we're actually going to go, the other way so that we can get those grass strips that were growing up that, we can't apply herbicide to. And so that's kind of the strategy, is just mow the grass and other cover crops as they're coming up, especially as it becomes later in the summer. We want to really knock down the grass and get things decomposing, and trying to have as little duft as possible by harvest season, which is just that decomposing organic matter.
All right. Awesome. How about you, Cassie?
Ours is pretty similar. We mow a few times throughout the year. Late towards this middle of the summer, we'll do one big mow, and then we'll turn around and prune our trees one last time, just to make sure there's no like hanging limbs or anything in the orchard for our tractor and our equipment to get through.
Okay, great. And we have one panelist who is trying to get on, and so I am just going to try to resend this. So just give me a sec here. So scheduling for harvest. So when do you harvest, and what are the factors involved? And I know, like for us this year, there was a little bit of a waiting game there. So Ben, why don't you start?
Yeah, we're not incredibly scientific about it. We kind of wait until it seems like there's more nuts on the ground, or fewer nuts falling on the ground than are being eaten by wildlife, while also watching out for those dry weather windows. And so, kind of as a rule of thumb, we usually start around the 1st of October, but it can be up to a week in either direction, depending on the weather and the kind of how that year went as far as nutfall.
Got it. How about you, Cassie?
That's kind of similar. We start mid-October normally, or beginning October, but we always look at like the weather forecast. So we're always trying to get our harvest done. If there's enough nuts on the ground worth harvesting, at least a day or two prior to rainfall events. So that way, like our nuts are drier and cleaner when it goes to the wash and dry.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So welcome, Bruce.
All right.
This is the joy of a live webinar. And so I apologize for that, but Bruce is on. And what I'm going to do is just kind of backtrack just a sec here. So let's just start with you, Bruce. Sorry to just put you on the spot, but let's just backtrack so you can kind of answer the question as well. So when it comes to harvest, so what do you do with your harvest?
Do you mean what do we do to sell, or what do we do to
Yeah,
prepare?
what do you do with your nuts? What's your plan?
Okay. Well, we do three things. We hold back a little bit for our farmer market sales, not too much, but we started that last year, and we'll be expanding a little bit this year. And then we have where we have some certified organic, and then the rest of our orchards are in transition. So the transitional hazelnuts we sell to this year we sold to HGO. We're an HGO member for that. The transition will end in crop year 2025, and then our organics we sold this year to Cascade Food.
Got it. Okay, great. And then what do you do leading up to harvest? How do you prepare? And I know you wanted me to share something on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a list of worries, sort of a checklist of worries when I get ready for harvest, and my biggest worry is mechanical breakdown on our harvester. So I go over our entire harvester, usually starting in the August timeframe, depending on how busy I am, and I try to go over everything, belts that might wear out. I look at bearings. Nuts and bolts, and then you can show the picture if you want.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. All right, what happened here?
Yeah, well, I didn't check the bolts on my nut cart hitch, and so that's what happens when you're not checking things constantly. And the bolts came out of the hitch, and my nut cart, which was almost full of nuts, ended up the way that you see it. My harvester blows the nuts back into the red nut cart that you see. So I lost a good days worth of harvest time getting that fixed and back up and running.
Yeah, so well, that's really good words of wisdom. There is the preparing for the harvest and making sure the equipment, and because it sounds like we've got small windows of being able to harvest, depending on the weather. That so the equipment's got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any other words of wisdom on preparation?
Well, orchard floor preparation is a big thing. And so I like to have everything. I shoot for Labor Day weekend. We have to constantly mow or flail our orchard floor to keep the grass and weeds short so we can harvest over it. And so you want to do sort of the end of August, Labor Day mowing so that everything stays short by the time you get around to harvesting nuts, which might happen a few weeks later, depending on the weather.
Right. Okay, great. Well, now we're going to go into the exciting part, the actual harvesting of organic hazelnuts. I think this is on a lot of people's minds. We got that question a lot during the summer tour. It was about harvest and what that looks like because our floor looks drastically different than the conventional floor. So we're going to show some cool video here. So Ben, we're going to start with your farm here. I'm going to go ahead and start playing it.
Yeah, so we start with this sweeper that's got the blower behind it, and really this is it's a PTO powered blower, so it's really powerful. Gets every last nut out of the tree row, and then kind of get that initial sweep. And then we have this old Flory that we're kind of borrowing that we run behind that just to tighten up the windrow to really make those clean, tight windrows for the Weiss McNair to run over and scoop up the nuts. We were throwing some extra sticks out of the bin this year, so that was something that we were dealing with. But yeah, there's kind of our process. It's a few more pieces of equipment than are necessary, but it's kind of how we've been operating, just because of the equipment that we have access to. That initial like blue sweeper blower, it's pretty nice because it doesn't require an extra engine. It's just our tractor with a bunch of hydraulics for the sweeper up front, and then just the PTO for the blower in the back. So really that piece of equipment was pretty cheap.
Right, great. And I noticed the guy in the back with the hard hat, the job of being back there and picking out, and the noise factor. I mean, hopefully he's able to listen to some rock tunes or something while that is happening. So just a question for you. So doing it this method, using kind of two pieces of equipment, what is the percentage of nuts do you think that is left on the ground? You get over 90%, you think you can pick up?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no nuts that aren't in the windrows. Maybe like 1 to 2% that aren't in the windrows. The place where we lose a few is with the Weiss McNair, trying to figure out how many to blow out the blanks versus blowing out good nuts that are maybe like not fully filled or something. So yeah, I'd say around 90%, because I can walk around and find a nut here and there, but I'd put it above 90%.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And those rows look really nice and neat, and that looks very effective.
Makes it easy to drive the harvester over top, because it's a pretty narrow opening. Especially on the corners when you're turning around, you want to be able to get every last one.
Yeah, that's right. Great. All right, so Cassie, I love these pictures of your farm. So maybe just kind of talk us through these pictures, and then maybe tell us a little bit about your harvest.
Yeah, so it's kind of like what our orchard floor looks like right after we did our mowing and our last prunings, waiting for the nuts to start dropping. And then we kind of do the same thing. We sweep them into rows, and then we harvest them. And then this year, like I said, we ended up having to store them in a barn until we were able to take them to our wash and dryer. But I just had a couple photos in there of harvest time with the trees, the nuts starting to fall. We have lots of wildlife in our area. Like, I was able to capture those in the summer. I also have some organic blueberries that we were picking while that time, and so I'd go to pick the blueberries up, and then we'd see the different wildlife there.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Those are the
And
cat
is this after harvest? Go ahead.
What?
Is this after harvest, or this is just recently?
Harvest. Yeah, this is when we had our first frost, which was like in the middle of October. We got our frost down here. And then the rain, which is what we're currently experiencing, tons and tons of rain.
Yes, yes. Well, I love that you showed the pictures of the wildlife, because that is something that is so beautiful about having an organic hazelnut orchard, is the wildlife that comes, the diversity of birds and bugs and deer like you saw. And you're not going to get that in a conventional orchard, because why would they go there when the floor is kind of gone? So those are so beautiful to see that. Just a wonderful bonus of going organic. All right, Bruce. So maybe you tee us up, because this is not your farm, right? So maybe kind of share with us where we are here.
Yeah, I'm at Joe Evers' farm in the Dayton, McMinnville area, and I'm helping him helped him harvest this fall, and I'm running his machine, which is a kind of a two-in-one. It both sweeps and harvests at the same time. So you can see the brushes on the side sweep the nuts and into this year was very, very challenging with the weather, and things had grown up. In some cases, I was running this machine through weeds that were practically knee high. So the nuts go into you're looking at a trommel in the back end of the machine, and then they drop down into a blower and get blown back into the nut cart. That nut cart will hold about 2 totes worth of nuts. And then we take it and dump it. I don't know if you've got a video of that or not.
I do. Here we go.
Okay, yeah, that's dumping and then we pull forward away from the trailer and lower the nut cart and do it all over again.
And so I'm going to ask you the same question. As far as, you said that this year was particularly challenging. It was very weedy. But what would you say would be the percentage of nuts you were able to pick up?
Well, we'll normally my normal answer to that question is about the same as Ben's. We lose very, very few nuts. If we have the orchard floor mowed down well enough, the fan on our machine, which is typical, will blow nuts into the next row. We lose a small percent of nuts, but in this case, when you're trying to harvest through something that's knee high, you're not going to get all the nuts, and we probably got I probably picked up 75% would be my guess, which is not
Okay.
great, but better than nothing.
And that's probably the extreme you said. So that's like a very weedy floor, and yours is probably closer to Ben and Cassie, so you're able to get 90% plus.
Right, right.
And Cassie, I didn't ask you that same question, but what would you say you were able to pick up as far as percentage?
Probably close to the same, over 90. There's not much left behind.
Okay. Because that seems to be the big question and concern. You know, it's like all that goes into conventional farming is to get this very clean, I'll put that in quotes, floor where it's essentially no weeds, no life, no nothing. So you can pick up every single nut. But if you're losing only, 10% or less nuts on the floor, then you can kind of justify allowing this living floor.
I I would have to say for us, since we do conventional as well, like when you go organic and you have the floor like that, it's not about picking it up, but we have to go slower. So our harvest time is maybe a little longer for the sweeper, just because we have to move it slower with the floor being the way it is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
The
really
the
good
other
point.
the
Go
other
ahead.
issue is dry versus wet.
Mm.
And when you have more grass and weeds, it's wet, it slows you down also. So it's best to harvest when it's dry.
As a
So, but
counterpoint, though,
oh, go ahead.
the cover crop will help kind of dry out a little quicker than a muddy orchard floor. So
Yeah, yeah,
have that advantage.
yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of ask you there. So once you've harvested, what do your nuts look like? Because you're not dealing with like a dusty, muddy floor. I mean, I can see the harvesting going on conventional, and it is just like a massive dust storm, that you can see from so far away, versus organic, which I think that there's much less dust. And so what do your nuts look like? And that must factor in when it comes to washing and drying.
Yeah, ours look pretty clean, and yeah, I'll say like we don't have a cab tractor. There's not a need for it with what we're doing. It's very low dust. I mean, if you're getting sprayed by what the Weiss McNair's thrown out, then you're gonna think it's dusty. But other than that, yeah, they come into the bin pretty clean.
That's great. Okay. Anyone else on how your nuts looked?
They usually come in very, very clean. This year it was we harvested later, and of course the video that you saw earlier was that was taken at the end of October. That's at the very end, and so you're really picking up a lot of dirt and a lot of mud. So the nuts end up a little bit dirtier, but I think it's still an acceptable level. It's not your totes aren't half full of mud. It's just that the nuts are a little bit more dirty than normal.
Yes. All right. Well, we know like every year is different, every harvest is different, every season
Yeah.
is different, but anything you're going to do different next year? And why don't we start with you? Oh,
But
Ben? Oh, Ben, go ahead. What are you going to do anything different next year? Or maybe if you, okay. Um, why don't you go, Bruce? Are you going to do anything different next year?
too early to tell. No, everything's so much driven uh, by the weather conditions, and so I just want to make sure I get my orchard floor down tight enough because the nuts get blown out so much better. So uh, no, I'm not going to do anything different other than what differences are driven by the climate of that particular year.
Yes. How about you, Cassie? Anything different you're going to do? Or we got to just hang tough and just see what happens?
And then just hang tough and see what happens as far as the harvesting goes. Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a couple minutes. Oh, Ben, are you going to go or did you?
Yeah, we actually have a new harvester we're gonna try out. We bought it for this year, but its hydraulics weren't working quite right, so we didn't get it operational in time. But it's more like the one Bruce was demonstrating there, kind of an all-in-one, just to keep things instead of having to run those three different pieces and keep three things working, kind of looking towards, integrating those into a single machine.
That'll be exciting. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, please type it in the chat, and I'll try to read them out. And while you're doing that, if they do come up, what I do want to do is share more about the OHC. And so you can see here that there's a lot of variables involved with farming in general, but also with organic. And what's great about the OHC is that we are a community, and our mission is to educate and help each other and to collaborate. And so you can go to our website, organichazelnuts.org, and you can learn more about our community and how we can support each other. Okay, so Karen, you raised your hand.
I have a small orchard. I live in Washington, and I have the squirrels keep planting more trees for me, but I have about 70 trees that are still young. But I've been hand harvesting, and I'm wondering if anyone else in the organic group hand harvests like I do.
Well, we actually have a member of our group, Raina, and due to some circumstances, she actually had to hand harvest this year. And so it's something that can be done. I've hand harvested as well. It's time consuming, but it's doable.
Well, I have something that I can share with everybody. When you hand harvest and you have squirrels, they will direct you to the trees that are ripe. And so I have a lot of deer on my property too, and so it's a competition. So I read that you can actually hand harvest off the tree as you're seeing the nut change colors. And sorry. Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
have a favorite red squirrel who is a female who just goes right to the trees that are ripe first. And so I harvest those first.
Oh, that's so interesting. So the squirrel is not a foe, it's a friend in this case.
Yeah, well, they can actually smell, I guess. They have the great senses. She goes right to the tree. So I just follow her around, and my harvest takes about 2 weeks because I have 5 different varieties.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's so cool, Karen. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Well, I would like to hear about anybody else who hand harvests and if they have any suggestions.
I could speak to that. We've done a bit of hand harvest off of the ground with nut wizards and like little push carts that are kind of homemade. And as far as off the tree, we've tried like an umbrella harvester that goes around the tree, and then you shake it to catch the nuts, which is kind of similar to if people were at the Clark's farm. That's like the industrial version this year that they use for blueberry picking and cherries and those sorts of things. But yeah, haven't tried just like individually picking, which I don't know how you could increase that efficiency. But as far as like shaking, yeah, that can be a good method, but it's hard to get all of them because the ripening period is so long, and between windstorms knocking a bunch off, you're kind of just chasing it, and you're going to end up picking a good few off the ground.
Thank you.
Chris, you're on. Your hand is raised.
Hi, I'm Chris. My dad's Brian Buxton. He works with you guys. So thank you. We're really honored and grateful to be a part of what's happening. live in Florida, so I'm only there intermittently, and most of my contributions are financial and academic. So excuse me if this is a bit, I don't know, far-reaching of a question. It may not even be that necessary, but it's just something that I'd like to know. And I'm interested in leaf analysis and soil samples to identify different deficiencies or toxicities that may need to be attended to, prevented, treated, or fought, and how that also translates into like not just the leaf test, but the soil test, because we just got our pH results, and I'm trying to understand how the treatment is needed with certain minerals throughout the year, because my concern is with the efficiency of the soil as we promote organics when we can get there, because we're not there yet. We don't even have orchard yet, but still, like exudates in the mucilage, rhizosphere, which is seen a lot with mushrooms, and that interconnectivity in the soil to promote more nitrogen consumption, and promoting things like the biota soil composition. So like anything like that would be helpful, as far as like just simply like the amount of tests that you do annually.
It's a big question. Can any of you guys kind of go answer that quickly, and maybe we can lead Chris into where we might explore that further?
I can partly answer that. We've been transitioning to organic now for really a number of years, and before we did that, we religiously did a lot of soil and leaf testing. And one day I had our field rep out, and we were doing leaf tests, and I said, look, don't tell the lab that we're doing this. Let's take a sample off of 3 samples off the same tree, 1 sample off that branch, 1 sample off another branch, and a 3rd sample off another part of the tree, and we'll send them into the lab and see what we get. And the results came back significantly different. And so after that experience, I started questioning leaf tests in general. We focus on organic percent of organic matter in our soil. That's the one thing that I'm really trying to do and encourage, and I've become less concerned about pH and more concerned about those kinds of things. We have 2 orchards, one that had I don't need to go into it, we're running time or short on time, but the organic content of the soil was markedly higher than another orchard that had been farmed conventionally, and you can see how much better the trees are doing in that area. There's different, they are different varieties also, which could make a difference. So
is the organization, do we have like do we have test results that we've done to prove the efficacy of organics in general? Like if we have like a periodical or something like that that just has a general study that's been done, like maybe Oregon State University might have something like that.
Not yet.
Well,
that I know about. Chris Lessie at Oregon State is currently working on that, and so there may be some things coming out soon. When I say soon, it might be a year, or it might be 2 years from now, but he is working on that.
How do I spell his last name?
Lessey. And Chris, if you send me an email, I'm reluctant to put it on the web. Bruce at your dad has my email address.
Okay, I'll get it from my dad. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah.
And on that note, I appreciate that, Chris, because that's kind of really at the center of what we're trying to accomplish, is to share the science, and the evidence around why organic. And so these are great topics that we're going to be covering at our summer tour. So next 2024 will be our 7th annual summer tour, and we'll probably have Chris there to share where he's at on this really kind of first groundbreaking study on this. So go to our website. We'll have information on upcoming events, how to become a member, how to learn more, how to be part of our community. And also that is where we're going to be posting the date and the place for our 2024 summer tour, which is going to be epic. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for being on this webinar today. I want to thank my panelists. Thank you, Bruce, for getting on. I apologize for the issues, but this is great information. And this is also going to be on our website and also our YouTube channel. So, all right. Happy December, everybody. And we'll connect with you guys soon. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
y'all. Stay in touch.